The CNN civil war is heating up again, and Scott Jennings right in the middle of the bullseye. Staffers at the beleaguered cable news network demanding that he not be given work anymore there. Silence him, censor him, take him off the air. Today we'll tell you why CNN simply cannot do so, and why it means they're going loco while he dismantles everything CNN is supposed to be about. Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the channel that continues to give you the entertainment news you need to know. Often days before the drive-bys even get a whiff of it, a scent of it, and yet we're off and running into the races. Folks, as we get ready to do so today, click the like button, drop a comment down below, and you know the line. It's time to keep you ahead of the culture curve. The CNN civil war continues to grow. This out of PJ Media by Matt Margolis. There's a revolt at CNN over Scott Jennings. You all thought we were making it up. No, you didn't. I know you didn't, but the drive-bys did. They thought we're making it up again, right? No, folks. This is where you come to get your news ahead of time. And now PJ Media is confirming the CNN civil war. Here it is. It says, I don't watch CNN, says the author, but there's something undeniably satisfying about catching clips of Scott Jennings absolutely dismantling his liberal co-panelists regularly. The guy has a gift for cutting through nonsense with surgical precision, and if you've ever wondered why he hasn't been booted from the network yet, you're not alone. Well, folks, if you've been watching this channel, you know why he's not gone. Because if they let him go, CBS can pick him up. And none of the people at CNN or MS Now want him to somehow migrate his way over to the network with Bari Weiss. Oh, that would not be nice. So, ... It should come as no surprise that his presence isn't just irritating the pundits on set. According to a new report from the Daily Beast, furious staffers confronted CEO Mark Thompson during an internal town hall meeting, demanding to know why the network hasn't reined him in, aka censored him. They complained about his politics, his tone, even his vocabularium. CNN boss Mark Thompson was pressed by staff about why the network has not reined in the MAGA mouthpiece, Scott Jennings' on-air rhetoric. I know it's rhetoric, it's the flair. Thompson hosted an all-hands meeting with CNN employees, giving them the opportunity to raise questions and concerns about the network's current state and future. During the meeting, staff questioned the behavior of Jennings, who frequently gets into verbal spats with other CNN guests, as a firebrand Trump loyalist. Now, folks, this is all being, we know this, right? Because Julie Roginski, she got into it with Scott Jennings and lost badly and got furious about it. We've seen celebrities' kids get into it with Scott Jennings and lose badly. They're furious at him, but they can't let him go because of the contract. Lou, you sent this to me. I love it as much as you do. What do you make of this idea? Like, who's going to win this? Does Scott Jennings stand on top of the mountain at the end of the day, or will they get their way, and will they force him to be censored in some way, but stay at CNN?
First of all, I have no idea how long his contract runs for and when it runs out. Second of all, a lot of this has to do what happens in the Warner Brothers sale, spinoff, what have you, because CNN is deeply involved in that, politically as well as financially. But third of all, when I posted this on my Facebook, the first respondent, friend of mine, great guy from the business, used to be an effects guy, he said, because if they got rid of him, nobody'd be watching. He said it a little more forcefully than that, but that's the bottom line, is he sells tickets, the other ones don't. So it's so, these people live in another world. These people at networks, whether it's ABC and CBS and the famous ones, or CNN and the Johnny-come-latelys, they live in a world divorced from economics, divorced from marketing, divorced from all things except their own self-importance. And that's when you get stupid stuff like this.
I want to play what it is that makes them so angry. So this is Scott Jennings. This is not him on CNN, but he's got another show he does called Common Sense, and seems a little uncommon these days. Let's play what Scott Jennings is up to, taking apart the Hollyweirds, the celebrities, and the politicos, and here's why they can't stand him.
Last night at the Grammy Awards, singer Billie Eilish, pretty famous person, had this to say. Here's cut one.
No one is illegal on stolen land.
We'll have to see, folks, because we can only play so much of that clip.
Dropout that you heard was Billie Eilish making a profane statement against ICE, by the way. Starts with an F, ends with a U. Very classy way to talk about the police, Billy. What does she mean by stolen land? Radical communists like Billie Eilish, who profits handsomely, I might add, from American capitalism, believe that America was stolen from the Native Americans, meaning that we have no right to enforce laws today, chiefly immigration laws. By the way, Billie Eilish lives in a $14 million mansion in Los Angeles on property that was once inhabited by the Tongva tribe. So far as we can tell, she hasn't taken any steps to return her mansion and surrounding property to its rightful owners, but we'll keep you posted.
That is why they can't stand the man. Lauren, he's mocking them. He's using their logic against them. They can't stand it. It's obvious why. What say you when it comes to Scott Jennings? Are they screwed? Will they kick him out? And does he go to CBS?
I don't think they'll kick him out. And I do think that Scott comes out on top no matter what the case is, because the man's in demand. You know, when you're in demand, if they don't want him, somebody else will certainly meet his price. And that's only going to act to their detriment because he's a draw. So I don't see how Scott comes out behind in anything related to this.
I think you're right. I'll share this, the last part of this article out of PJ Media. It says the revolt at CNN over Jennings tells you everything you need to know about the state of that network and the left in general. They can't handle one conservative. He really is. He's the only conservative anybody's actually watching on CNN. Of course, he's probably the only person anybody's watching on CNN, period. They can't handle one conservative who's actually effective at making his case. Instead of rising to the challenge and countering his arguments with better ones, they're demanding he be silenced or controlled. If CNN staff is this rattled by one smart conservative, maybe the problem isn't Scott Jennings. The problem is that their worldview can't withstand basic scrutiny. Now, I'm not here, folks, to tell you one way or the other. I'm not here to take a side, but I am here to tell you, Culture, that Scott Jennings has got them saying, me, oh my, what are we going to do about this guy? Culture, your thoughts on Scott Jennings? He's really the only thing that's keeping CNN afloat.
He is.
And Culture, they did a town hall, an emergency town hall last week. You know who they didn't invite to the town hall? Who they
Scott Jennings.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, the problem is that he creates ratings because he is a natural foil. He's somebody who can take logic and reasoning and not work with a reactive mind, a more emotional approach to what's being said around him. You rarely find that. It's one of the reasons why people engage with, high intellect level YouTubers more than they do with these news programs or any of the low level podcasts that you see out there. It's why you can sustain massive audiences with more thoughtful audiences, on something like this, an interactive program where people can engage. Nobody that works for CNN seems to be able to engage in good faith. They often just spout off rhetoric, lines that they've heard others say, and when queried on, what something means or what the definition of something is, they often can't rise to that challenge and just give a basic breakdown of, what a Yahtzee is or, what certain practices are or what fascism is or whatnot, because they're just regurgitating, what they've heard other people be successful with. And there's really just not a lot of, not a lot of people there at his level that can have a faithful conversation and stay within the lines and not result, or stoop to ad hominem attacks. That's oftentimes what it descends into, even with Abby Phillips, that's her name, I think. Even on her show, that oftentimes her guests, if they're challenged at all, they just go down the line of oppression Olympics terms that say, that somehow gives them standing above, the logic and common sense of somebody like Scott Jennings. And I think without him, CNN would lose a decent chunk of their audience, because then it would just be a bunch of parrots giving you the same lines over and over again. And that, at some point that's boring. I mean, it's not like the Tiki Room where that's entertaining. So it's just different.
Well, there's one other thing. When these shows put on a punching bag, when they put on a rhino, look at, Meghan McCain on The View, for example. You don't see the leftists clamoring to have her removed because she isn't winning against their side. It's only the ones that are effective that bother them. It's not their political point of view. It's their ability.
Totally agree.
Isn't
Andy,
that?
Go ahead, Coach.
No, I was going to say, isn't that why they put on that one lady that's just clueless on the Fox 5? Oh gosh, I
Jessica
forget.
Tarlov.
Tarlov. Yeah, isn't that why she's there? She's the liberal, thoughtless person that doesn't apply logic in a conversation and just speaks from a place of emotion. I mean, I would use demeaning terms on her, but I'm trying to keep this a little bit higher level and just say that she's really only there to be, cannon fodder, because she's amongst people who dwarf her intellectually.
I feel badly for her. I mean, Fox does that on purpose. They put her up against Greg Gutfeld, and there's just no way. There's just no.
She's got no chance. She can't compete on that level. She can't think there.
But she knows she's complicit in it. She's making a good paycheck for doing that, and that's her job.
Yeah. Hey, Andy, the job of the new media is to be completely different than the legacy media. The legacy media, they seem to be determined to control the narrative, make sure that only the people who say what they want them to say are allowed to be on screen. And I think CNN's getting a taste of the new media right now because Scott Jennings is kind of taking off. He's trending everywhere. And Andy, I don't think CNN can dare let him go. I don't think it's possible.
Well, you said it earlier that they're terrified of where he's going to go next. They can't afford to have somebody like that. They're already their ratings. He's probably responsible for what ratings they do have. So otherwise, they're going to just become MSN, whatever it is now, MS Now 2.0. It's their irrelevancy is fast growing. The only people that watch these things are older folks, and reality happens, and us old people die off, and the younger generation is not gravitating towards these things. They're not taking it seriously. They're primed for things that are quick attention grabs, 5-second little clips, and they can't do. Well, you see it on the rebuttals on Twitter and things. It's like the meme that, like, when somebody's responding to it, it's like 3 paragraphs long. They can't be concise and they can't be just get to the point. That's why they can't meme. Somebody like this, and look, you just had that clip there where all he did was just sit there like this, and it made the point. It just crippled them. And I think this is because they're never challenged. They live in this echo bubble where no one ever forces them to defend their positions, where people on the other side are constantly forced to have to defend their positions with reason and logic because someone is always ready to jump on us, and we have to be able to defend those positions.
Jim Halpert face down.
Aren't we all required to be able to do that? I mean, when you get into one of these panel shows, whether or not you agree with somebody, sometimes you have a slightly different perspective or point of view, and I think we're often challenged or called out for maybe not making a more complete argument. But look, they would lose 4 things that he does for that network, and they're very basic. They're about as basic as you get when it comes to media. And what you're expected to provide. But the most important thing for CNN is he provides clips like this, the virality factor. It's all they've got. There's nobody else capable of doing that unless they say absolute drivel. Somebody like Brian Stelter, the couch potato kid. So again, I know, I'm sorry, it wasn't really an attack. Well, yeah, it was. Anyway, but the point being is that they don't have anybody there that can do what he does, and that's why he's so successful with his very own podcast. CNN can't afford to lose him, and if he does go to someplace like CBS, look out, world, because it's going to be Fox and CBS vying for the top spot almost every day.
Well, we've gone around the horn now. We've got all the opinions except for one. And as the only true graybeard on the panel, I need to know from someone who gets the demographic that watches CNN. Mr. Graybeard, please explain, what is it that CNN must do to win with Scott Jennings? How can they placate their very angry staffers?
Yes, myself and the other 80,000-year-old wizards that watch CNN. I don't watch CNN. No, it's everything Andy was saying. I mean, that's pretty much the point I was going to make as well. we all join these shows together, and we have to be able to communicate our point of view. And even if I don't agree with something that Culture is saying, or he doesn't agree with something I'm saying, we still seek something of a middle ground as long as we're, talking within a segment, right? We are seeking truth. That is something that, like, people are moving to YouTube for. Yes, it's the pursuit of truth, and you have to have discussions, and you have to share different ideas in order to achieve that. And you look at these panel shows, and unfortunately, the news has conditioned not even CNN, just specifically these news channels have conditioned themselves to be the absolute authority figure of information so that they can never be wrong. The problem is we know you're wrong. The emperor has no clothes now. We know CNN is wrong quite a bit. In fact, they're all wrong all the time. They're wrong quite a bit. So these discussion panel shows should be about seeking the pursuit of truth, and they're not. And to Andy's point, like I was mentioning before, it's all about being right. They're fighting over being right, and these people aren't smart enough with their facts to outmaneuver him. They're just not going to be able to do it. Right. So they lose.
They're operating in semantic games, and he's just cutting straight through that.
It makes them look even more pathetic that they're demanding someone higher than them intervene, because it's actually, I think they should all lose their jobs on that principle alone, because you're supposed to be the negotiators of fact, and you can't do it. You have to go to your boss to come in and intervene on your behalf. You should be fired right there. And you know what? To that point, there are people, there are youth, there are, and all the way up to people in their 60s and 70s that could do that job better and eloquently deliver, left and right-leaning politics. Either side, they could do the job better. These people shouldn't be on television. I think we need to go further. We need to be more extreme. It should be the other way.
So what if the CNN bosses came back to their employees who are so upset and said, listen, guys, because you asked, we ran the numbers, and here's the deal. We can get rid of it, but if we do, we're not going to sell as many ads, and 80% of you are going to be laid off. Do you still want us to do it?
Some of them, yes.
Yeah.
Most of them, sure.
This is the equivalent of not keeping score on the baseball field.
Yes.
Because you're beating the other team too badly.
It's
all
like,
they do.
It's like going to the fire and ask him to shrink the strike zone because your guys are losing.
Yeah, when they get beat, they just cry and then make you look like the bad guy for making the little kid cry. That's the only defense they have. It's like, and look how mean you are. That's the view. That's what it is.
And by the way, Culture mentioned virality. I would say in the case of Jennings, it's virality equals virility equals
that too. Yeah.
Strength.
Oh my.
Yeah, true story.
And yet again, folks, we have come to the end. But what a video it has been, and we hope you agree. Folks, if you had a good time with us, consider clicking that like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell, and drop a comment right on down below. We care about your thoughts. Folks, we also want to invite you to partake in thatparkplace.com. Of course, www. You get the idea. Thatparkplace.com. It is the website telling the truth, and it is a rising star across the web for pop culture news coverage and analysis. Go over there and bookmark it today. Folks, we're bookmarking you as a great guest that we appreciate. Until the next time we have the honor of spending time with you, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, folks, you better believe it, keep having fun.